Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Ben. This was a very long awaited video on STK push with Flask Python, right? So I've already gone ahead and written the code, so I'll just walk you through because we already have these tutorials going on from the previous ones. So if you can just, I'll leave the link in the description for the previous video so that it will be easier for you to catch up. Now here we just importing Flask and request because we'll be getting the amount and the phone number dynamically from our URL. Then we're importing requests. Remember, this is requests with an S, plural, because this is now what is used to send. In this request we need HTTP basic auth. This helps us in doing basic authentication for generating the access token. Okay, and then base64 we'll use it in generating the password, which is the same as daytime here. So I'll go down here, and here we have a method to get the access token, or a function for getting the access token. And here I've added my consumer key and my consumer secret. You can get this from your sandbox apps on Daraja. Then this is the endpoint for authorization. We'll call it the authorization API, or the endpoint for getting the access token, right? Then we'll come here, have R for requests, should just say response or something like that, is equals to requests. Remember, this is the requests here, dot get. Then we pass the endpoint, which is this, and then we have passed the authentication, which is basic auth. Basically means pass username and password, and then it allocates the first one as a username and the second one as the password. So auth, that one. And once this one goes, we get the data back, we convert it to JSON, and then we access the access token on the data that has been returned. This one we have not done any error handling in case you pass an invalid consumer secret or consumer key. So handle errors for this one. Okay, now once we are able to get the access token, remember this one is not attached to any route, so we can be able to call it from any of our methods. Then after that we'll now go to our Mpesa Express route, which is, I've given it a route /pay, and we have this method for, or this function for Mpesa Express, and we are getting two things from the URL here. So basically this URL looks like /pay, then we have phone, which will pass the phone, and we have the amount, which is we'll pass the amount there. Okay, so we are getting this one from the arguments, or from the args, and we're getting the phone and the amount and the phone. Then we also have the STK process request. This is now for requesting the push STK. Then remember our access token, we are assigning it to this object. Not necessarily important, but you can just do it. Then we create our headers, which will now contain the authorization bearer, and then pass it as a string, the access token there. Then we have to generate our timestamp. This is for generating the password. Okay, so we need the timestamp, which is now which is going to be date.now, but we need to format it so that the format that Mpesa API recommends, and so we have to format it using date, year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds, and I've assigned it to a variable times. Then we go to password, which is now the business shortcode, the passkey, and our timestamp here. Okay, then from there, once we have this string, we have to convert it to base64. So we have base64 encode here, and we just pass this password, but we have to also encode this password to UTF-8 so that you can remove any characters that are not suitable. Okay, so remember we had imported base64 up here. Now from there we prepare our payload for the STK. So we have the business shortcode, which is this one. We have password, remember password is this one, which is now base64 string. We have the timestamp, which is this time formatted in year, month, day, hour, seconds. Then you have the phone, okay, the transaction type, which is customer pay bill online. When you go live, we have two types of shortcuts you should understand. The first one is a till number and the second is a pay bill. So for pay bills, this transaction type remains to be customer pay bill online. But if it's a buy goods, this one has to change to buy goods online if you're live. This one has brought a lot of challenges to many developers that I've come across, so just take note of this one. So but because we're on Sandbox is a pay bill, so we're going to use pay bill. Party A, which is the phone number, party B is now the same as the business shortcode for pay bill, but for till number, if we're using a till number, this one is party B is now the till number, and the business shortcode can be HO or store number, but depends on your application setup. Then we pass the phone number again. Then we have our callback URL. If you look at this one, I have my endpoint. So if we look at what my endpoint is, I have an ngrok endpoint here, which I've fired up, and it is here. So this is what I've copied, and this one will just make this machine reachable from the internet. So because I'm on localhost, this IP, this machine is not on the internet. So, but by using this one as a tunnel, it will bring the traffic back to my machine. So here, and then I point it to my Lipa na Mpesa callback, and we have it down here. Then we have the account reference. This is like account number if you're using a pay bill. Till number, this is completely ignored but must be provided. Then transaction description, it's just metadata for your transaction, and we have the amount that we're supposed to pay. Then we again make a post request to the endpoint. Remember, the endpoint is this one for processing request. Then we pass the data as JSON, and then we pass our headers. Remember, our headers just contains the authorization bearer. We can as well remove this one from here and just feed it directly here if you really care about garbage collection and you're doubting your programming or your execution. So you can just bring it down here so that you can click clean here, but it's not a problem. Okay, and then now we return the response, the result of this post. We collect the JSON and we display it to us. Okay, so if this was a different implementation, save to database, do what, that is again something that you should check. Knowing how to handle error, what to display to customer and all that. Now once we have this, every time we make a call and this payment goes through, our callback or our results, when someone pays or cancels the transaction, will be redirected or will be posted to this URL, which we have it here. So on this class, I've not gone to saving to database because people can implement it on different kinds of database. We have MySQL, we have Postgres, we have MongoDB and all that. So I didn't want to go more into databases, but once we have this and you are accepting the post method, then you collect the data, which is now going to be in JSON because Safaricom will post JSON data, and then you can choose to do whatever you want with it. For me, I'm just printing it and then I'm just returning OK, so that we can end that connection. Okay, so here we have this one and here we have this. So if I'm going now to go to my terminal here, I have my app already running on that port 5000. So if I open this, we have here it's already running. So if I just go here and put /pay, and then I'll put my phone, which is going to be my phone number. Let me just zoom this in a little. Phone number is that one, and I put the amount of 1 shilling, send it. You see now I have an invalid amount because I've messed the spelling here, so I just need to put amount -1, is equals to 1, sorry. So if you do that, you get success, and I have a request on my phone. So if I cancel it and go back to Grok, you'll see that we have this one has come, is success. And if you look at this here, if you look at this response here carefully, you'll see that when I'm highlighting on my terminal, you see that the transaction was, or the request was cancelled by the user because I've cancelled it. Okay, so what if I go ahead and pay? So I'll go back here, make that payment. So I'll get a push request on my phone. I'll put my PIN. Once that is done, I'll go here, and now you'll see the payment has completed from here to here. You'll see, you can hear on my phone making receiving the messages. So as you can see, I've paid 1 shilling, and we have what was it? The date is here. You have my phone number is here. You have my checkout request ID, and here we say the transaction was processed successfully. Okay, so basically that's how you do. This code is available on the main repo for the tutorial. We'll also do a few more on the same. So I hope you've understood something and you've learned something. If you have, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and say something in the comment section. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll be here to assist. So thank you very much, and let's meet in the next video.